bump, bump, bump. Wait, no, I'm not. Okay. Check 1, 2. Hopefully that is punching it up for me. I can always push it in the back end here. Check 1, check, 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 check. Looks like I'm going to be louder now. So hopefully that'll do it. All right. Okay, sounds good. All right. Is the guitar mic connected to the same interface? Yeah, so it's all going through a twin, a UA Apollo twin. But since I'm running through a plugin, like normally if you take everything out and send it to this, you're just going to hear what comes in. So you're not going to hear like the affected signal. And hopefully now what you're hearing is what I'm hearing. Hopefully. So let's dive into this plugin. Before we get too far, I just want to say that since High Voltage Guitars is a Two-Rock dealer, we are kind of like one of the few people who have any sort of affiliation with selling the plugin or having an affiliate link. So if you go to the link in the description, there'll be a little affiliate link that will go to MixWave's website, and if you purchase it, we get a very small cut of that. So if you want to try it, I think there's a 14-day trial. You can check it out. But if you want to buy it and you want to support what we do, that's a really good place to do it. Huh, okay. So we're going to dive into this thing. So I haven't used it too much, so we're kind of going to go on this journey together. So basically what the Two-Rock Bloomfield Drive plugin is a replica of pretty much every version of the Bloomfield Drive. So behind me you can see that's my 40-20 watt combo. And the plugin lets you change from 6L6 to 6V6. You can change all the mics on the cab and speakers. You can throw 4 mics on there. You can do a lot of stuff. And yeah, it's a really interesting and different sort of plugin, because you guys know that I've used other plugins for a time, and this one is really great, but it takes a little bit more work, I think, because this to me is the most like trying to mic up an amp in a room, and you know, all the things that go along with that. So you can't really think of this in the same way that you think of something like Helix Native or anything like that, because that kind of spits out like what's done and you don't have to do much after that. But this is something that you tweak and you EQ and you do all those things, because this is effectively like you've got an amp in another room with a mic on it. So we're just going to dive into some of this. So I really like the Two-Rock presets. So we're just going to run through some of these and kind of adjust to taste. One thing about this plugin that I've noticed more than any other plugin is it's very loud. So so I'm going to have to continually kind of mess with the output, because every patch is a little bit different. And luckily there's a little limiter button here that you can see me turning on the right. And you have all the controls, you have gate, all this stuff, and you do actually have a compressor and EQs for both input and output, and actually you have a compressor on the front as well. But I'm just going to turn that limiter on so we have it right on the front of the signal here. So we're just going to dive through some of this. So as you can see, it's just the front of the amp, and I'm using Eli's clean setting, and this is running it kind of how I run it. I don't quite run the treble so high, so I'm just going to take some of these knobs and kind of put them where I put it. Usually I run all the switches up in EQ2, gain about there at about 1 o'clock or so, and we're just going to mess with it and let you guys kind of hear what it does. Before we get too far, let's look at the cabinet. It's got 2 mics. We got a ribbon 122. I assume that's like a Royer, and then a ribbon 42BN down on the bottom speaker there. So going back to the amp, turn it up a little bit. So it's a pretty nice pushed clean sound. It really does kind of sound like the amp, because the amp, it does get clean. It can get really clean, but this kind of is how I run it, where it's a little bit more broken up. So if we want to try to make it super clean, let's try to dive into that. So let's change it to EQ1. We're going to lower that input gain quite a bit. Let's dump the mid switch down, and then hear that. Dylan, thanks, man. So I think, you know, this could stand to have the master brought way up. Because it's interesting, like using the master on the plugin is a lot like using the master on the real Two-Rock amp, where the more the master's cranked, the kind of the better it sounds. But, you know, you're continually pushing that output. So but you can hear how much more of a clean sort of sound that is. So very, 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 very clean. So using that kind of as a bass without messing with any of the you know, mic stuff, we're going to turn the master down. We'll flip it back to EQ2. You can really hear that limiter working because it's really pushing the output going between those. But let's start pushing the gain and see how we can take just that patch and push it into, you know, a more overdriven sound. So you can really hear that limiter working. So let's turn that off and then lower the whole output. I think that sounds a lot better. When you push it and then clamp it down, it feels a little too clamped. This seems a little more open. So it's all about finding a balance with the output. And by the way, whenever you're using these sort of things, when you run your guitar into them, make sure you're kind of running the input gain on your interface all the way off. So you're just using the just like line level of your guitar. You're not adding any gain, because that will change how it reacts and clips. In fact, we could probably push this a little bit. Because at that level of push on the gain knob, with it being about 3 o'clock, that's pretty much how the Bloomfield drive sounds. So without changing anything else, I want to turn the tubes on this thing to 6V6. So you couldn't really see the drop down happen on the thing, but you can see now it says 6v6. So I'm going to go back and forth between those. Turn my mic off. There's something happening. I think it's through the mixer thing because basically how I'm streaming this, there's like a digital mixer where I hit a low E and sometimes it just goes, doesn't normally do that. So I don't know what's causing that to kind of distort on the low end there. But you can hear the difference between the 6L and the 6V is pretty drastic. You lose a lot of volume, but you gain a lot of saturation. So it's something that's really, really like useful if you're trying to experiment with how overall this plugin sounds. Because the Bloomfield drive that I'm the most familiar with is the 6v6. So if we leave it in this mode, I think that, that has a real gnarly sound. It kind of loses some of the output, so we'll crank some of that. So that sounds good. So now let's like push the gain further. Are these the throwback pickups? Yes, these are throwback SLE 101s. We have a bunch of sets of throwbacks on order because we've already sold a bunch of them. So if you're interested in throwbacks and you're willing to wait, just a little while, feel free to shoot us a message and we can hold you some. They are incredible. And I don't know, they just they just sound real good. They sound really good. So let's push the gain a little further, keeping all the same settings, and see what we can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the lead channel. So let me turn my mic off and you can hear what it's going to sound like. I'll put both of those knobs at noon and then adjust to taste. All right. Okay, so we need to crank that master. It's sounding kind of, something is sounding a little furry. I think that is something in this live stream setup. I'm going to switch it back to 6L6. I mean, it sounds good. We got a lot of gain cooking though, so let's just increase that lead gain. I'll pull that master back a little bit, and I'm gonna mess with this in 6L6 mode. See, jumping between the different tube outputs that change the output of the entire plugin. Okay, so you can hear how much that jumps. So I'm going to leave it in 6v6 modes because then it's a little more output friendly for this sort of situation. Whoa. All right, you know, sometimes this like notes, you know, you just keep searching. And then we can bypass the tone stack as well. So I'm going to switch the lead channel off and then mess with both of those. This is bypass, tone stack bypass. With lead channel and tone stack bypass. It's interesting. It's interesting how interactive they are. This to me is not something where you're like, I'm gonna just mess with this on the fly, because that's not how plugins work. You know, you kind of make your sound for that track and then you live with it, and because it's baked in. So if you go and in the middle of something you're like changing stuff, unless you're able to like, I don't know, assign some like function to it where it'll, you know, track those movements. Normally it's just, you know, just kind of like baking it in. Every time I do a demo and I change like part of the preset or switch to a dirty thing, sometimes I'll forget that, oh, that makes everything that was clean before it all dirty now. And so you kind of have to keep everything separate. So like you tweaking these like you would an amp is a bit of a fool's errand, because that's really not what a plugin is for. A plugin's for like making one sound, saving it, using that sound, and then for your next track, for your next whatever, use a different patch, different sound, etc. So it's really, really deep. Yes, I'm really impressed with it. It's just one of those things I have to like truly dive into. So I really like Eli's presets here. So I'm going to go through some of them. So this is Eli's Humbucker Overdrive. Sounds good. So I'm going to mess with this. So that's a good sound. It sounds good. I usually will have the mid switch on for like more of an overdriven sound to give it more mid forward punch and cut. So that's the mid switch up. Here's off. Up. Sorry that you can hear the guitar. I just, I don't know. It's hard to mute constantly. But I really like that sound. So one of the things that we did is we took that patch, and then you can see, or maybe, yeah, you can see this. Zach, Jeff, mic test. So Jeff was in here with me, and we were tweaking the microphones. And one of the cool things that the mic selection on this thing can do is you can actually add a little bit of a delay. So you can see over here on the right and the left, on each microphone for the top and the bottom speaker, you can delay the mic. So what that will do is give you a little bit more space and air to kind of give it a bit of a room sound, and it's really useful. And since there's so many mic options, you can kind of, you know, have one set as a bit of a room sound with that delay in mind. So let me mess with this. So I'll turn everything make all the delay the same, so there's no delay. You know what? Let's go back to that Eli setting, because that one was sounding really good, and that one sounded kind of weak because we were not using it for live stream purposes. That sounds better. Okay, so now we've got, let's check all the mic levels. This one's just barely doing anything, so you won't really hear it. So I want to change the delay between these two. So I'll change the delay on this dynamic, this 57. So I really like being able to tweak that, because I mean that's really extreme, because the level on it is about balanced with the level of the other mic. So having it so in your face means it's like it's really in your face. But there's a lot of cool things that you can do that are probably going to be lost on the stream with stereo, because you can pan left and right. You can have one mic have a little bit more delay, a little more distance on it, and you can kind of, you know, add a little bit more of the room sound, because that's one thing that this doesn't have, unlike other things like using an aux box, for example, gives you that room, you know, mic sound, and have it either kind of real reflective or more dry. But it is very, very useful. So, Robert Baker, it does sound good. And Phil from 40 Watt, when will Robert get on Team Two-Rock? I think soon. He played this Bloomfield Drive in the shop and was liking it. So I think because I'm me, and the one sound that I search from or in every plugin for is all the classic ZZ Top stuff. So let's look for a little bit of that. So I'm going to crank this input gain. We're going to try to get some. Try to get some Billy tones. Let's make it a little brighter. There's a lot of reverb. Let's turn that reverb down. That seems like a bit too much gain. Let's turn the mids. Actually, I'm going to switch all of them up, because I think the deep adds a little bit more of a cut. Still a lot of reverb. I want to turn that reverb send down even more. There's some weird artifact happening on these low strings, and I don't know what why. I think it's because of the digital mixer I'm using. Let's dump a little bit of this bass. Let's push the mids. I know Billy's not a fan of treble. I mean, that's kind of got like a Joe Walsh. that sort of sound. Let's turn this input gain down, maybe crank the lead gain. The hardest thing about playing guitar on a live stream and having a mic in your face is when you're playing, not going like just breathing super heavy into the mic. That's, you got to practice that. So I'm kind of digging that, but let's see if we'll just, fake some classic. Yeah, I know it's something in the streaming platform. The low E getting distorted. Yeah, I wonder if it's maybe this oversampling. I can turn that up. I don't know. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. It could just be the CPU on my computer freaking out. So yeah, let me try and conjure up some Billy tones here. I feel it's a bit too much gain. Let's try the rollback on the volume test too. So. So it sounds pretty good. And you know what? It's funny because I have the Universal Audio 4710D, and when I've plugged my guitar into that as the input device for doing any plug-in stuff, I think it actually sounds a little better, just in general. And that's not a dig on the plug-in or the Apollo Twin. It's just that's a total different beast of a thing. But I mean, I think that sounds pretty dang good. So here's the thing. Can we turn this lead off? Let's see what happens. It might get really loud. So it has the limiter on. So it's kind of keeping everything in check. But I feel like the volume did kind of spike. Well, Alex, I just see this. Boink. Look at this. Oh, man, look how perfect that kind of fits like right under there. Does it take pedals well? Let's find out, Alex. Because I have a pedal right here. So let me mute this. I hope you're not hearing that. You're not. All right. So I have boink, the Black Friday Mjolnir with a battery in it. So we'll plug this into my Apollo, and we'll see how well it does take pedals, because I need to know that, because I want to start using this on all of my Mythos. Come on, there we go. My Mythos demos. Hello, Fraser. So we'll just try it. We'll try it. So I'll turn the gain and the treble at noon and the output down on the pedal, because I don't know what's going to happen. So if we run the plug-in, let me turn some of those mids off so it's not as. I'm going to turn this limiter off and then turn it down. Okay. How does it feel compared to the other plugins? It feels good. It feels different. I've said earlier in the stream that this plugin feels more like you're playing an amp that's mic'd up somewhere else. It doesn't feel like it's got that finished sheen on it that you get from other plugins where it's like doing a lot of that work for you. This still feels like you're going to have to like do a little EQ. You're going to have to put a little room sound, a little reverb and stuff after the fact. I mean, there's plenty of amp reverb in this and it sounds really good, but this, it's weird. Like playing this not in a live stream setting with headphones or my little monitors here and hearing it in my room, just going straight into the thing. It sounds like miking up a cabinet, which is cool, but also, you know, it needs a lot of, like, it doesn't need a lot, but it needs a little attention after the fact. This isn't like, you know, you're just going to dive in and you're done. You know, you still have to make music and use and, you know, use your DAW and stuff. There's Fraser. Hey, buddy. Hey, big guy. All right. Watch out. So that is the plugin. Sounding pretty good. I'm sorry about the mic. Plugin is loud. That is one thing. So I've got the Mjolnir here running into my Apollo, and I'll just run the output really low and we'll creep up to some sort of unity. So. So the output is creeping up. I'm going to turn this, the limiter off, or on, rather. So I'll just turn the pedal on and off and you can hear it. Man, all my chops, it's non-existent today. I haven't really played guitar before this, but I think it works. Having that limiter there really makes it feel like it's being limited. There you go. So that's with the pedal on. So I'm going to crank the gain. And add a little bit more reverb on the plugin. Did Billy use Tweed or Marshalls? Billy, there's no telling. A lot of times Billy has gone on record as saying that he's plugged into a Marshall half stack and cranked it. And then other times he said, you know, they use Fenders. There's been all sorts of mystique and myth and legend with that guy's recording setup. There are some times where I think, oh, that's definitely a Marshall. And a lot of times I think, oh, that's definitely a Fender, but I don't know. A microphone in a studio goes a long way into how something sounds. But yeah. But okay, so here's the pedal off. I'll turn my mic off. So it does seem to clean up well. and react to the pedal. So that's good. I think, you know, my hope is that I can really come up with a good sound that will be the new standard for everything that we do. So the current idea is to basically make like Zach's studio preset thing in Logic. So I can have like the plugin, all the EQs, compression and all that stuff that happens after the fact, kind of ready to go. Yeah, haven't seen my R9 for a while. Miss that flame. Yeah, the R9's at home. I bring it occasionally, but I haven't played it much on videos and stuff. I just, you know, I haven't been making as many videos. It's been very busy, and a lot of the guitars I have to feature now are ones we're trying to sell at the shop. But yeah, so let me, like, I'm gonna run the Mjolnir, this anniversary Mjolnir. Here's the gold one. Doink. Ooh. Black Friday, 10 a.m. Central Time, mythospedals.com. I'm going to run this kind of how I run the Mjolnir, where I run it kind of like this. Like that. So we'll run that into the Two-Rock and see kind of what happens. Man, is it hard or what to just like pick up your guitar and play? Or at least for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm just gonna drink more energy drink. Blah. Tastes like blue. So how about now? Because we've been streaming for 47 minutes, and a lot of that, none of this stuff was working. Let's go through some other things. So we've got, you can't see any of the other things pop up. Like you can see my mouse, but I'm seeing on the drop down. So we have Adam Miller, Ariel Posen, Corey Congilio, John Cordy, who, man, talk about someone who has kind of had to apologize a little bit for Awakening the Beast of Josh Scott, which is, I don't know, that was a good video. I'm really glad Josh did that. Mark Williams, Osnoy, Taylor Larson, and then Two-Rock, which is all Eli. And then there's, of course, the ones I've made that aren't very good. But let's see. Corey Congilio, that guy knows how to do some stuff. Chewy mid-range overdrive. So I'll go back to the amp and try this one. So I think that one sounds really nice. Well, sorry. I think that sounds great. I think, you know, Corey really knows what he's doing. But that is a chewy mid-range overdrive sound for sure. See how it cleans up. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Dormant, you're too kind. That sounded good. So, if Corey can knock that out of the park, let's find Basic Clean Humbucker. Let's try that, and then we'll try. I like how it just goes to the cab screen. Try this with the Mjolnir, the Black Friday Mjolnir. And by the way, for those watching, link in the description. If you want to check out the Two-Rock plugin, I have an affiliate link because High Voltage Guitars is a Two-Rock dealer, and we are some of the few who are allowed to have affiliate links. So if you want to get it, you can get it there. We get a very small percent, but there's also a free trial. So, but this sounds good. So Basic Clean Humbucker. So that sounds great. Running the Mjolnir kind of as a boost thing into the front end of this set clean will sound thusly. So sit down, bud. He's so big. The dog, he just like pushes me over. Okay, so that sounds great. I'm really digging that. Frankie, how's it sound with single coils? You know what? I haven't played it with single coils yet. Let's do it together, shall we? Okay, here is the McCready, a guitar that people on the internet still love to hate because relics make people angry. I don't know. So let's just go right to Corey's Basic Clean Single Coil. So sounds pretty good. Let me mute my mic. A lot of reverb. Wow. It sounds pretty good. I feel like it needs more gain. So you know what? I'm going to go back to Eli's setting. Eli's Strat OD. Okay, so that one's clipping. Okay, that's doing something. Let me mute my mic again. So, I mean, it sounds good. It has a very Texas blues sort of thing going on in that setting. So the cool thing about this, and one thing that I don't know if many people have talked about, in addition to having the amp, we also have this guy in here. We got the overdrive, which looks like something that I would like. So if we turn this on, so, I mean, you know, Strat pedal looks like that into an amp that sounds like that. Another one for the collection. Yeah, that's true. I do have the Maxon pedal that looks just like that. And I did get one of the new hand-wired screamers. It's on its way, which is really exciting. From Bees Music, who's going to be a Mythos dealer. So that sounds really good. So let's see. Let's take it to Two-Rock again and do the bridge overdrive bypass and see how much. Let's see. Go to bridge. See how much juice we got. Let's see. Oh man, wait. This might be loud. No, that's not too bad. All right. So it cleans up well. I mean, this is the position 4, all the way up, and this is rolled back to about. Oh man, I forgot this pot's like messed up. Like it, it's like the numbers are. It's like twisting on the. I gotta tighten the nut on the volume pot, but here's all the way up. Just roll back to about 4. Turn the mic. So it cleans up really well. You wish they would do John Mayer's signature amp. Well, I mean, you can kind of buy that in the traditional clean, because that is effectively John's amp with reverb that is slightly tweaked, but Eli and all his constituents agree sounds better than the reverb on John's amp. So there you go. But yeah, I think this thing sounds really good. Like I said, if you're wanting to check one out, link in the description. Get a little bit of an affiliate kickback because we're a Two-Rock dealer, so we're allowed to be affiliates. So I think it was kind of confusing. We sent that email. We didn't quite explain what was going on, and I apologize for that. I was just excited. You know, And this is not like a true money-making adventure being an affiliate for a plugin, but you know, help keeps the guys fed with Taco Bell. And there's a little bit of a sale thing happening until the end of the year, or for a little while. Just click that link and it'll all be explained. Man, I haven't played a Strat, like, seriously, in a long time. Oh wait, no, that's it. Gotta get that G. How would I compare this to the Tone King or other neural plugins looking to pick up your first amp sim? It's different. I feel like the Helix stuff and the neural stuff sounds great. I think you can make everything sound good. Like, you know, that's the most important thing to remember is like, usually it's user error to get these things where they really should be. But this one to me sounds the most like an amp in another room. So in that, if you're not well versed at mixing, recording, it might be a little too deep, but I also would argue that it's just a good learning experience, you know? So, because here's the thing with plugins, you're never going to have just one, you know? And once you like get into this and have one, you're going to have a few, because while the Two-Rock one is incredible, sometimes I need more gain than that. Sometimes I need the cleanest, most boring thing ever. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but sometimes you need a more direct, simple sound, because making music is not always about having the prettiest sound. It's sometimes about making a weird sound that fits with the track you're writing. They're kind of apples and oranges. Like, all of them are a bit that way. But for me, if you're wanting to dive into this and you really want to kind of experience what the Two-Rock sound is about, which this is a good way to do it, because Two-Rocks are not like this. They're not like the easiest thing to just jump right into and play all the time. You kind of have to tweak them to find the sound you want. I equate them to a sports car, because you can't just like, you know, if you're used to driving, you know, a Honda Fit or something like that, great car. That's what I drove back in the day. I was like my daily driver. And I just slammed the gas. I would go, but not that fast. But if I hopped in something with an actual motor in it and I slammed on the gas, I would go really fast, and I would not be prepared for that and probably crash. And so that's kind of how this is. You know, you can't just dive into it expecting, oh, I'm just going to tweak this knob and everything's going to sound great. You're going to learn how to use it, because it's kind of an instrument in and of itself, even though it's a plugin. But these amps are like that. So, I think it's just something you kind of have to experience. You kind of have to dive into it, get used to it, learn how to use it. And once you do that, then you're kind of off to the races, I think. So we can look together and kind of see what, see what the deal is. Because I know there's a little bit of a deal going on right now for the Two-Rock plugin. So if I go to this page, yeah, it's $129, and I think that's a limited time deal. They're gonna be, oops, my wife calling me. We'll call her back in just a second. I think they're going to be changing that after the holidays. It's going to go up to $179. I still think this is worth it for closer to $200. You know, basically the cost of a pedal, and not a crazy expensive pedal. And you have all these sounds, so it's really useful, really musical. For all of you that got here in the beginning, my apologies for not having all my routing done. I swear I tested it in our streaming software. We use this thing called Ecamm, and it said I saw a signal from guitar, I saw a signal from mic, and then when I went live, it all just stopped working. But that's the way it goes. So anyway, again, check out the link in the description. Don't forget, Mythos Pedals is 15% off at participating dealers and mythospedals.com from now until basically midnight on Cyber Monday. On Friday, we will be dropping these into the world, so you can grab a gold or silver 1N34A germanium Mjolnir made with the real diodes, and it sounds great. I've got a silver one here plugged in. Keep dropping my pick. And man, it just sounds awesome. So let me turn this. Let me go back to like a cleanish. So do Strat OD. Turn the limiter on. With a little germanium Mjolnir. It just sounds great. How do they sound? How do they differ from the Wildwood? They have that specific diode and just different paint. But the diode truly is the heart of Mjolnir in any K-style circuit. Not that all K-style circuits are created equal, because I firmly believe they are not. But all the love, attention, and kind of unrelenting dedication that has gone into the Wildwood is now kind of at its peak with this and the silver one with the actual diodes. It is pretty crazy how it takes it and just nudges it exactly where it needs to be to sound just like my clone. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for hanging with me. I appreciate you guys. Check out the link in the description for this plugin, and I'll see you guys really soon. Thanks for hanging. And again, I apologize for all the technical issues. Catch you later. See ya.